than I expected. Hello everyone! Welcome to this week's political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. I am ummmm. Joining me as always is the delicious Trupsy Wupsy. Say hello, Trups LP.
Hello, Trups LP.
I was going to say Trupsy Wupsy, but I'm not a dick.
Yeah,
how are you, sir?
Yeah. It is a Friday. I did not work today. I travel on Sunday. I'm fine.
Not looking forward to the travel. Oh dear.
No, I hate traveling. It has nothing to do with COVID. I just don't like the process.
Where are you going, if you don't mind me asking?
California.
Yay. You're always so welcomed.
I know. It's funny. Like, my supervisors were like, "Oh, you'll love it out there. It's really pretty. It's one of my favorite places to go." And my supervisor knows my politics. He and I talk about like Joe Rogan and like Crowder and like the different podcasts we listen to. So he's aware that I listen to these guys. And and so I looked at him and I was going, "Do you think they'll like me out there?" And he goes, "I think you'll have a fine time." And I'm like, that's the nicest way you could have said that.
I've been watching, just for the sake of what's been going on the last couple of weeks, I have had to keep an eye on channels that are willing to call out what's happened for what it is. So I don't normally watch much in the way of Sticks, because he just, I don't know, it's very hard, I don't know what it is, something very hard for me to digest, but I have watched all his videos recently about the election, along with Crowder's videos and streams. Didn't he have Ted Cruz on earlier in the week? And other commentators as well. I don't normally watch these people, but I had to make time to do it because I want to know what's going on, and I need to hear it from... I even watched Sinatra's videos, and because he's also a bit confused, but he's also saying, that what's being projected is not what's happened, and I'm still sat here like, we're not going to get an answer till January at this point.
Mm-hmm.
How long are you in California for, by the way?
6 days.
So there won't be a political recap next week?
Correct.
That's
I will be flying that
That's
day.
all right.
So.
I'll see if I can do a solo show. That'll be all right. I've done those before.
Right.
I can do that. I can pretend I'm you for half an hour.
Oh, I'm sure you could, especially with that comment that we read.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can do a plenty good job. All you got to do is just pretend that you have partisan opinions.
To be fair, I like Trump, so I probably could be considered that, but because I'm English, there's a level of apathy. It's very hard to mask it.
Indeed. Honestly, it is sometimes hard for me to actually drum up the energy to be partisan. I'll be honest.
I actually think it's better, you just be you rather than be something you're perhaps not.
Well, the problem is like being me is very, very difficult because my opinions will change based on information. I know this is a shocking revelation that people's opinions can change based on the information that is provided.
It's like the when I get asked what side I take, and I'm always like, I would rather not choose a side, but address something on the individual policy or issue.
I mean, if you want to take sides and also start a fight, all you have to do is say, "I take the side of facts and logic."
I did that 5 years ago with the rest of the skeptic clones, and you know what that got us? Infighting.
Yes,
and
correct.
shame.
So that's like I said, if you want to start a fight, that's a great way to start it.
The term logic and reason is considered cringe now, which I find unfair.
Which is really sad because, let's bring back common sense then. That sounds like a good idea.
Just remember, if there was ever a qualification in common sense, no one would have it.
Correct. Yeah, common sense is actually very uncommon sense. I have found. I forget what the rule is, but
Mythical.
It's like, think about, half the world is stupid, and then think half of them are even stupider than that.
Yeah. Don't, because then people will just say, "Look at the red and blue states," and then choose whichever side they're on and say the others are stupid.
It's just further than that, and it's not education. It's
Life experience.
Yeah, kind of life experience. Having the wherewithal to understand things and then learn from them.
See, I can understand that because I know a lot of people who are more academically inclined. But people forget that's a very limited intellect. Like, it's specific to one thing. And so if they go and apply their intelligence to something else, they're actually not that smart at all. So usually social situations.
There are different levels and different types of intellect. You have academic intellect, you have social intellect, and I believe the other one is I think it's like intrapersonal, so not between people.
Interpersonal, yes, those are skills.
Yeah.
They're amazing skills to have.
Well, no, I'm not talking about like between people. I think it means like knowledge of like self, essentially.
Oh, introspection.
Yeah, I think that's the other one.
Interpersonal
But
is
I know at least there's academic and social intellect,
introspection is
and
probably the third
they're
one.
usually at odds with one another.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know too many people like that. I know one or two who are, can balance it, but I'll be honest, they have fake degrees, so they're fine.
Well, I mean, think about it like this: the people who have some of the highest, degrees in sciences,
Yeah.
usually are kind of standoffish. They're
Yeah.
they're not the charismatic, let's just say they're not the charismatic like go-to politician. They're not the guy hawking on the side of the street asking you to join his religion, that kind of thing. The easiest example I give is computer scientists in vast majorities. They're brilliant, and they hate dealing with people.
Unless they're on a Discord voice chat.
Well, it's more or less because, and especially in computer science, you deal entirely in logic.
Have you seen how in the UK they've tried this? They've tried to introduce critical race theory to that, along with engineering, and it didn't work.
I've seen that.
It didn't. They tried to introduce it to comp sci as well, and like try and balance the representation in the classrooms. It didn't work. It just doesn't work. Simple as that. Stop trying.
To try and sell. Ready? If I had to tell you, hi, would you like to spend 9 to 12 hours, or rather 8 to 12 hours in front of a computer debugging people's problems or searching through sometimes hundreds of thousands lines of code in order to figure out why something is wrong for days on end, potentially with overtime, most likely not, and to get virtually no accolades for the work that you do. However, you might have a nice sum of cash by the end of it. Would you take that kind of job? A lot of people, when you hear that last part, they'll go, yeah, sure. But then once they start doing it, they're like, this is miserable.
Yeah, most would know this. I switched degree from comp sci to chemistry because I got bored. Because coding's fun. It really is. But not if that's all you're doing.
On your own time.
Yeah, that's all I was doing in lectures and seminars and other little activities I had to do. I just found it mundane because the language was boring. It wasn't interesting to me. And it can get quite frustrating when you're looking for, if you're using a particular language, the word this. It's just, no. And also you have to annotate everything. That also can be quite annoying.
Annotation is less of something that you're compelled to. You're compelled to do it in university.
Yeah.
But you don't end up doing it in the professional sense, and then whoever gets it after you hates your fucking guts.
Yeah,
for not annotating
if you do it on a professional level, you want to annotate. You don't. Rule number, was it rule 0? Don't be a dick. Just annotate. Yes. Just annotate it. Okay. It saves people time. They can fix it later if there's a bug.
And now bear in mind, I work with all different types of people. I work with government agencies to actual military to the layman, right? I'm a computer scientist. I work with everybody. Anybody could take my expertise and apply it to whatever they do.
Mm-hmm.
The basics of documentation and writing stuff basically means that I have to write out my explanation as if I'm explaining it to a 2-year-old. And I mean a 2-year-old from when I was that young, not a 2-year-old who's been given a tablet.
No, I get you. I fully that's interesting to say because one of my nieces is 2, and she does in fact have an Amazon Kindle with a kid frame on it.
There you go. But these are things that are very, very important to code should be self-documenting. I have actually attempted to write self-writing code. That's fun.
That'd be nice. That does sound like fun, actually. Now you said that. Which language?
I was doing it in C++.
C++ is a fantastic language to use. I love that.
You can do it in Python too.
If you can't do it in C++, you can do it in Python.
Yeah, if you can do it in one, you can pretty much do it in all the other ones.
Yeah, Python's like the go-to for safety. You can do it in that.
Python is so overrated, and I love Python.
When I was at uni, it was that go-to in like 2007.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can do it in Java too.
I don't know if it's changed much in that time, to be fair. I haven't looked at it
The
since
problem
like
is you have to figure out how to make something run and then stop and then compile, and then basically you need like two programs to run simultaneously.
Okay.
But anyway, tangent over.
Yeah. We went a bit off, but it's fine because actually this is all relevant to what we're going to discuss. Really, a level of intellect being used as a regular scapegoat for voting patterns. Which is quite frustrating because it tells me you're not in touch with those people because you're willing to just call them stupid instead of appealing to them, which means that people like Andrew Wang is correct.
Well, I don't know if I would call Andrew Wang correct because have you seen his most recent post?
No, I was referring to his when he said the Democrats don't appeal to the common man because they're not.
Well, the reason I've kind of been torn from the Yang gang in the things that I did agree with was because Andrew Yang encouraged people to move to Georgia to vote the shit out of the runoff elections that we have coming in the next couple months.
I have a quick question.
Which is illegal.
Quick question. You have individual states that do counts and votes. Now, this one I've been bugging me for a while, and I forgot to ask last week. Do you have to live in that state for a certain amount of time before your vote is registered in that state? Or can you just vote wherever you want?
Depending on the state, but usually yes. You have to basically establish a residency. Usually it's between 4 to 6 months. That you have to live there before you can register to vote there.
Right. So I had heard rumours, because I remember seeing the videos just before the election of some people saying, I've just moved back home because I want to convince my parents to vote blue, typically. Or I'm moving to this state to try and change this state blue. But these were so close to the election, I don't know when they were posted or whether they were done legally or whether their vote had to be registered in a different state. I don't know what's happened, really.
Well, it's interesting. Some people, this kind of puts you in a weird state of limbo because one of the legal questions that had come out of Nevada was that people who no longer lived in Nevada were voting in Nevada. I imagine it has some variant of people who had left Nevada, like legitimately left Nevada, but had not stayed long enough in their other state, so technically they still have a vote in Nevada.
Right. I had thought that's possibly it.
I think that is actually one of the valid situations that exists in the many states that have contentious arguments presented to them. Right. That one at least makes sense. However, there are also instances of people who have not lived in Nevada for very long times and who are voting in states that they previously had lived in. I remember joking around before the election telling you that apparently I had gotten a mail-in ballot in my home in Jersey.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not unreasonable to assume that these things do happen, especially if you had lived, let's say, with your parents or with somebody else. And, I mean, with universal mail-in ballots, they sent them out to whatever record they had from you. Which does mean that some people probably got ballots in places that they don't live.
Mama, yet to be determined, i.e. who won, but I would die laughing if Trump does win. Just remember, Al Gore thought he was president for 37 days. I know this because I remember it. I'm not that young. Are we mispronouncing that state? Nevada? Is this like? Are you saying like Kamala or something? How do you pronounce her name? How
do you want me to pronounce it?
Yeah, we'll say it however you like. By all means, Mike,
do
Nevada. Tell us. Just tell us.
You want to say Nevada? Want to call it Nevada?
Nevada. How about that? Is that okay? I'm not doing phonetics. We're not doing
We're
this.
gonna call it fucking Nev.
We're going to call it Floyd Mayweather's state because he's so rich he may as well own it.
The Vegas state.
The Vegas state, yeah.
The Vegas, Reno, and Desert State.
The money state with all the nukes were done.
Nevada.
There you were pronouncing it, wasn't it?
Nevada, technically, with how you wrote that.
All right. Okay, so we're not gonna do semantics.
That place over there with Vegas.
We're just gonna call it the one next to California. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So we know that there are some states that are contentious. We know that today Biden was announced projected winner of not Wisconsin, of a state. I don't remember which one it was. But it was. I think it was actually, yeah, because it was on the news. I got the alert on my phone earlier. But Pennsylvania, I believe, this is now going to the Supreme Court with a voting issue there. I heard about that as well. And Georgia is doing a hand recount, which will take a while. You've got issues with military voting. I don't know what that's about. Mm-hmm. So what's happening?
That's things like they had found several instances of military ballots that hadn't been counted, had been discarded, or otherwise had been not delivered from people overseas. So there are instances there, I believe, in some places like Georgia, where I believe 8,000 were missing.
Oh, really?
I think so. I don't remember exactly.
So I know that
because these numbers keep changing day by day. So this becomes a very, very hard topic to report on because at any given point, this information may change.
Yeah, I had heard that. So I've been paying attention a little to Twitter, but not too much because it's just so salty still. It's still messy. Most of the people I know that are more blue voting are saying, let's just get on with it. Trump can see, grow up. You've got Cenk Uygur, who's made merch of "you're fired," not being magnanimous in the slightest, being a massive prick. There was, it was, yeah. You've got, so there's one here called from Jonathan Lemire, who tweeted, Barr authorizes the Department of Justice to probe substantial allegations of voting irregularities despite little evidence of fraud. Representative Eric Swalwell tweeted, this is not what democracies do. To which someone has, underneath, tweeted a quote retweet from 2 years earlier, saying, is this you? Where it says, President Trump claims there is no Russia collusion today. He shall finally turn in answers to Mueller's questions. Should Trump show America his answers by making them public? # Russian investigation. Even though there was little evidence of that as well. In fact, there was none. Which was just cringe. It was embarrassing, that was. I don't miss that.
Jaya Suryan in chat says, I saw a convincing argument about why Benford's law was explainable in places where it was broken. I have to say, though, it is hard not to see some level of impropriety when everything is going so weird. Now, what he's talking about, do you understand what Benford's law is?
I don't know. Please tell me.
So Benford's law is the idea that leading digits will basically follow a depreciating curve, a downward sloping curve, where 1 is the most common, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. And the votes, if you look at the elections in different counties, they break the idea of Benford's law. The frequency of other leading digits is much more prominent than 1s and 2s and 3s.
Right.
Things like 8s and 7s.
Okay.
5s in particular. And these are strange behaviors because they have been used in the past as explanations that something is amiss. If you don't follow Benford's law, or if a set of data that you have does not follow Benford's law, you can reasonably assume that something may be wrong with that data and deserves a double check.
Okay, this is I didn't know about this, by the way. That's fantastic to know about.
It's an interesting concept, and Pool of Zenda says not enough levels of magnitude for Benford's law. It's a red herring. Depends on how deep you go. You could go to individual districts and get really, really into it.
I actually want to the red herring comment. So from the same person, a few comments up. About 350,000 votes in Pennsylvania were counted against the law. They have to be excluded. What does that mean against the law? Were they after a certain time limit or what?
So in Pennsylvania, there are a couple of different lawsuits that are going out, but the one that I think he is referring to is that there are certain counties in Pennsylvania that allowed voters to, quote, cure their ballots. There were inconsistencies. There were basically incorrect data on it, and certain counties basically sent it back to those people to be fixed and sent back in. However, other counties don't allow for this, which means that inside Pennsylvania, you have an unequal treatment of votes. You have certain counties, more Democratic counties, and that are allowed to basically fix problems with their ballot and still get them counted. That's not allowed. That is illegal, as it violates the Equal Protections Clause.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's true and the court agrees, then that means that 350,000 votes in Pennsylvania are illegal.
Well, that's going to the Supreme Court, I assume, based on what I'd heard earlier.
Yes. Do you know what Freedom Tunes is?
Sorry?
Do you know the YouTube account Freedom Tunes?
No.
They basically make short little animations, and the one they came up with earlier today was actually quite poignant, very funny.
Oh.
It was the Trump team and the Biden team going up into the Supreme Court, and the Biden lawyer saying, "Don't worry, the Supreme Court knows that the Democrats are very, very trustworthy." And you see they zoom in on Amy Coney Barrett, on Brett Kavanaugh, and then I believe it was Clarence Thomas.
I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Biden does get somehow sworn in, he just expands the court to swing in his favor anyway.
Well, that's the other thing. It's
needs expanding to 13 anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's Clarence Thomas is the other one.
Oh, it is it? Okay. So with the majority of the people, as I said earlier, that I see are mostly blue voters on Twitter that follow me or whatever, and they're all still saying the same thing of, we've debunked this, here's a CNN article proving it.
Yeah, I love that.
Fane, you're the biggest culprit of it. I'm sorry, man, but I'm sat here as an Englishman. I strongly believe if we had to put up with 4 years of the Russia bollocks, you now have to put up with 4 years of this, not as a tit for tat, but because there are allegations of discrepancies and they have to go through the courts first. They have to. You can throw speculation around as much as you want, and you can say you've debunked it. Here's a CNN article or a Fox article if you're the other side, but it doesn't help anyone. So shut the fuck up. Get it through legally done, and then people can stop moaning about it.
Well, the problem was that a lot of people made the comment that Trump was not running against Biden. Trump was running against the media.
He is to an extent. Since they declared Biden winner.
Essentially was the driving force behind a lot of the Democratic platform.
Mm-hmm.
You had their coverage of riots. You had their alienation and targeting of Trump voters. See Covington Catholic. You have the exclusion of certain situations. You have their pushing of critical race theory and the SJW platform. You have big tech companies that are doing similar things where they are censoring certain articles, as well as
I have heard
a lot of other fringe ideas from the left. And realistically, the enemy that Trump is actually running against is not Biden. It is the media apparatus that we have here.
Right.
Fox is no longer the other side. I have this sympathy as well.
Yeah, I'd heard rumors about this, so I only made the comment because some do still consider it the other side.
There are some on Fox who have maintained that they are still avid Trump supporters, Sean Hannity being one of them.
Tucker Carlson, isn't he on there?
Tucker Carlson is too. Yeah.
Most YouTube
Neil
commentators.
Cavuto, not so much. Brett Baer, not so much.
I assume because they all think we've lost, so we now need to focus on 4 years from now, which I think is the wrong move. I think you have to exhaust every option. It's not about being courteous on the way out, because this hasn't been confirmed as a definitive result. It may say one thing has been reported, but you have to know it's true.
Well, the issue that people have with Fox is that the media called the election for Biden.
They don't want to be wrong.
When they did that, Fox did as well. And then Fox then began to play the media game, which pissed a lot of people off because the news, the actual news, is that Trump is continuing the fight. Mm-hmm. Trump has, I believe it's over 213 signed affidavits of different improprieties in different states. They have all of these pieces of quote-unquote evidence, or testimony, rather,
right.
That they are totally willing and able to present. Neil Cavuto actually did cut off Kayleigh McEnany during a press conference, of which they had basically said that there was fraud, and Neil Cavuto cut off that thing because, with these fraud allegations, I in good conscience, I can't continue to show that. Literally 10 seconds later, she starts to list off all the things that they have.
Yeah.
So right now, a lot of people are going, "Who the fuck do you think you are?"
There is this issue, a massive, it's monstrous in your country by comparison to ours, but it's applicable in mine as well. It's the idea that the press be free. Free press. They've got to be allowed to say whatever they want based on what they're reporting, yes?
Yeah.
I've always maintained that they should be held to standards, and that means an independent body that oversees and makes sure they're not, that they're being honest. Not because they can sensationalize if they like, as long as it falls within the region of, are you still telling the truth? In the UK, as many would remember with Brexit, that was tested because the majority of reporters want to remain, because it's that idea that they're intellectual. And therefore, intellectuals wanted to stay in the EU because of, and then insert typically selfish reason of, but I like free travel, which I don't care about free travel. I just don't give a shit. I don't care. Okay, I don't care about it at all. Never have. But for the most part in the UK, excluding the BBC, who are renowned for being very left-leaning because they just can't help themselves, even though they are continually called out by every government for it. The majority of others, though, weirdly, even like the Daily Mail, who are mostly conservative, and even the Independent, that are mostly left-leaning, will call out people on their own side when they do something colossally stupid. Mm-hmm. But that's not the same in your country, is it? And it's frustrating because they don't seem to. And I say this much like watching your politics. Your journalists are a joke because you don't write honestly. You're trying to tell the people what to think. That's not a journalist. That's a dictator. I don't care for that. And and I don't mean to be offensive to America. I'm not saying this is Americans' problem. This is a journalistic integrity issue. And I find it to be quite frustrating, especially when they're calling the election, and even my government believed that. To the point where Boris Johnson, I think it was Downing Street or whatever Twitter it was, tweeted out a congratulations to Biden, but you know what they did? They had it already prepared, written for Trump, and forgot to erase Trump's name from it. So they sent it to Biden with Trump's name still on it, because they hadn't photoshopped it correctly. And Biden's already saying we need to sign a deal with you now because he's Irish, everyone, even though he's not. He's of Irish descent. He's fucking American. Stop with this bollocks about being like African American or Irish American, Scottish American, or whatever American. No, if you're born in America, you're American. Shut the fuck up. Mm-hmm. You do my head in with this bollocks, okay?
It's hard to keep track because
activists,
eventually, right, as you get down into it, it's like, okay, well, it's okay. Well, my dad was born in Cuba, but his dad was born in Spain, and his mom was born in Spain. So am I Spanish or am I Cuban? Like, well, technically, well, even if you go farther than that, I think one of them was born in France. Like, it's not worth it.
No, it's not. I mean, if I want to go down that path, my mum's dad is French. Okay, cool. My dad was born in Godstone. That's a part of Surrey. Oh, I guess that makes me half surrender, quarter surrender, ish.
Right. The problem is the more you get down to it, the more confusing it gets. And honestly, at that point, the identity politics kind of breaks away because who the fuck cares?
Yeah, and to those in the chat who pointed it out, it's not journalism, it's activism or activist journalism. You're quite right, actually. Thank you for the correction. I am so done with the lies. It's why, with many people see the videos I do on my main channel, you'll notice in the description multiple sources for the same thing, and that's because I go to all different perspectives and then have to read between it all to get the truth, because no one's telling it. But it's far less of a problem in this country compared to when I've tried to look at American issues and realised I can't see anything that's truthful in it. And it's actually pissing me off. It's just... it's so annoying because it doesn't help anyone reach a resolution, which I think is the whole point. It keeps people in a constant state of panic. And I think that's unfair to the American people. I mean, you might like that because everyone likes a shit show, but when your country's the running joke for being one massive shit show, that's not good. That's bad for your democracy, and that's bad for your reputation as a democracy. Allegedly one of the greatest democracies, which is a lie. You're already peddling the idea that Biden is now hope. I believe that was the slogan for 2012 Obama. He's not hope.
Yeah.
He'll shut your economy down for 6 weeks, which is a bad idea. That means controlling the people. Best of luck with that. He'll borrow and spend beyond reckoning. He'll leave you in a massive hole. And the real win here is he knows he can do that because he's so old he won't live long enough to deal with the consequences of it. Sorry if that was a bit rude. I do apologize.
No, I mean, you're right. The biggest problem is that you're trying to basically tell a whole country that you can't be trusted to handle yourself. So we're going to do it for you. And if you don't like it, too fucking bad.
What was that thing you showed me earlier before we started? The
that was the CNBC article of Fauci basically saying that the what's it called?
The US has independent spirit, but now is the time to do what you're told.
Right. Yes. Thank you. Basically, somebody from on high is telling us that we need to sit down, shut up, and listen. Which I don't know if you know, Americans don't do that so good. And we have a pretty bad attitude when it comes down to that kind of stuff, especially when you tell us. You tell us we have to. It's like, yeah, really. I don't know about that.
Right. Oh, Okie Native. It's okay. He'll also start or escalate a war. Yes, I've heard about this with Arab nations, I believe. And thank you for the $2 donation. If that's... I hope he doesn't, because no lie, you've seen what Trump has done. To undo that is a big mistake. I'm sorry, but you've got Arab nations recognizing Israel. That's a huge deal. You've got North Korea working with other countries a little bit now, to the point where Kim Jong-un and I can't remember the guy for South Korea, they shook hands. That was a huge deal. Crossed the line. It was a massive deal, and people would like to dump on Trump because he's and I will say it in air quotes because I don't pay enough attention to your country to know if it's true or not, racist, and air quotes. You've got to champion what he started there, because that's a massive deal. And no offense to Democrats here, but not everyone is the enemy, and you shouldn't treat everyone as such. You should give them a fair chance, and he did that with no preconditions. He just did it. And I'll be honest, I know that. Hang on. Someone said that Benford's law doesn't apply because being offset by Biden's popularity in the counties where he didn't follow Benford's law, apparently behind in stream. All right, okay, don't worry about that.
It's stats. I didn't do well in stats.
Yeah.
I just was telling you what
I
this thing says.
I don't even know I only vaguely know what Benford's law is now, so I couldn't tell you. Eliza Lopez,
Yeah.
what effect do you think Biden might have on Brexit? Simple. He told us we have to do the deal now with Trump because we're going to the back of the line, as Obama had promised when he was on his way out, when he was trying to influence our vote. Which reminds me of what I covered in today's This Week at Twitter with China. China, unironically, at the UN Human Rights Council, dictating what the US should do. And the last one was not to interfere with other countries' internal politics. What? I mean, the UN were a joke anyway when Saudi Arabia chaired this, but now you put China there, and you have them not to. You tell them not to interfere with the US, not to interfere with other countries' internal affairs, from an outsider trying to tell the Americans what to do with their internal affairs. Right. And if he does move
it's some balls.
he can't. If he does move the Pool of Zenda, move the embassy from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv. No, he wouldn't. He probably will try, but if he does that, that would go against what many other countries have started doing, and that's recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, as it should be, because it is the capital of Jerusalem. Israel, sorry. It is. It has been for years. We know this because there are people from Israel, YouTubers especially. Skeptor was one, former anti-SJW creator, who himself is there, and he's like, it's always been Jerusalem. You were too cowardly to say otherwise.
Oh, it's not even just cowardly. It's just they refused to accept, like what the capital of Israel is, because that is essentially, it is anti-democrat platform. Like even Kamala Harris came out and said some absolute fucking bullshit about Syria and going pro-Palestine. And I remember as soon as that fucking news dropped that Biden was president-elect, I made a fucking tweet. I said, how long until we get fucking foreign wars?
I think I liked that tweet. I saw it. I remember. Because we don't need any wars. How about you just carry on the peaceful discussions that have been happening now? If you're so big and strong, just whip your dick out and prove you're big and strong, I guess. Essentially what Trump has been doing when countries weren't bending anyway. Hold on to assets and be an absolute dick. I know he wants to rejoin the Paris Accords. Is that it?
Paris Accords, yeah.
I mean that's certainly a very interesting debate to happen. I'm very intrigued to see how that plays out.
I think it's all fucking.
It's like I'll just do this. It feels like I'm gonna do this because you didn't do it, because you went against it. I'm gonna be contrarian cause. It feels bloody minded, and I need to know more information before I confirm that perspective, because it's just an initial look. And as far as Brexit goes, right. So this has caused a little stress in the UK, because if we can't get a deal done before a potential Biden presidency, for however long it lasts, we need to have a deal done with Trump quickly if possible. And that can be done. It can be. But if it can't be, then we then have to give some leeway on our side to the EU. But I'd be honest, my view is no. Because our economy's barely doing well at the moment anyway. It's slightly improved, but it's really not. My view is push, and if they don't give us something by the end of next week, we're out anyway with no deal. It doesn't matter. The deal isn't even signed yet. We haven't got it confirmed. As far as going with Trump goes, yeah, there's a stress there because of the possibility of Biden. But I'll be honest, based on what Biden has said so far, or saying, it comes across as very anti the special relationship the UK and US have had. And he falls back on the I'm Irish part, because he used that when the BBC interviewed him, or went to interview him. They went to ask him a couple of questions, and they asked him who they were, and then he decided to walk away and not answer any questions and simply say, I'm Irish. Which many responded with, that's a very IRA response, which was the Irish Republic Army, response, I probably said that one wrong, to English people. It's like Scotland. I won't talk to English people or take anything English people say seriously because they're English, which is exactly what he has done by saying he's Irish. Others are pointed in the direction, I think Sargon did it on one of his soon-to-be dead channels, that it was in the ballpark of ethno-nationalism unintentionally. because of how the IRA operated back then, with their language they used. And I thought, if you're going to start pushing that, which Ireland is, by the way, one of the most open and inclusive, then you're clearly taking the stance of, I'm with the EU, and I'm vehemently against a very much democratic process in the United Kingdom, i.e. Brexit, even though I myself have, air quotes, won an election, end air quotes, through a equally democratic process. Although, of the two of them, at least one was conclusive, and the other one isn't still up in the fucking air yet. I do apologize.
Do you think that if Biden does get elected, that Biden would not try to repair relations with the UK the way that Trump has?
Based on what we're hearing, there'll be an issue. I think there'll be an issue because he's putting us down already this early on, which is a bad sign. And I'll be honest, when it was Bush and Blair, and you saw it, there was guy love between those two. And, I have nothing but respect for that because they clearly just got on. It was fantastic. Even if I disagreed with all the stuff they did, I fundamentally did. The weapons of whatever, mass distraction or whatever they were called.
Weapons of mass distraction, I like that. Yeah.
I think that's another code for tits. I didn't agree with that. Even Gordon Brown, Obama at first, fine. They got on all right. There was an issue at first because Gordon Brown didn't have the interpersonal skills. But David Cameron, Obama, inseparable, fantastic. They got on well. But obviously because Obama was the cool kid, everyone else wanted to talk to him. That was fine. Brexit happened. Yeah, there were some issues with May and Obama and May and Trump friction. But again, Trump and Boris, fantastic. There's always going to be an issue with one. You notice there's a little gap here and there with people not getting on quite right. But for the most part, the relationship has thrived. And it needs to stay that way because we have a fundamental. Our history is fantastic together. We've accomplished a lot together. You shouldn't throw it aside because of something you disagree with, even though it was done legally and properly. And you can champion globalism or whatever else. We can still be globalist, but not be a part of the EU. I think it's very narrow-minded the way Biden has behaved this early on, but it's obviously a lot to say for such a small gesture. But that small gesture, for someone who is possibly going to be your president, it's a dangerous thing to do because it does then put us on a bad footing. And he's already said we're going to the back of the list, which is a bad thing to say. And if he starts any fucking wars, we're not helping. I promise you that. We're not.
I hope not.
We're not doing it because that would mean more capital gains raids on the middle classes. We need to do that when we start paying back all these furlough schemes. And I'd like to save up some money first, if that's okay. Because I want to buy some decent amaretto, okay?
Because apparently, what was it? Merkel had already kind of wished Biden congratulations.
Most
and
have.
It was pretty. But pundits had noticed that the difference between the way that she did it and the way that she did it for Trump is one is a lot more endearing than the other.
So, no, because of the way Trump was framed in the 2016 election as a sexist, a pussy-grabbing, rapist, racist, bigoted, any pejorative you can aim at a guy. He's orange, he's got a comb over, even though it's a full head of hair. It's 4 different directions. He's disgusting. He's just not nice. But she hadn't met the guy. She hadn't spoken to the guy. But she believed everything that was fed to her, so she didn't have to be nice. But at the same time, he's now the most powerful man in the world that no one thought would win. No one thought he would win, except for, all of us, because I thought it would be hilarious if he won. But it's not surprising that she, a career politician who's been in charge of her country for, 20 years or something, would want a career politician of 50 years who's done it precisely dick to benefit anyone. Criminal act. Precisely dick for anyone would be, to her, a peer. Even though she herself, no offence to Merkel, she's on her way out. As far as politics go,
Yeah.
she's done. It doesn't matter what she says. She has no power anymore.
She's already said that she's going to retire, right?
Yeah, she's going soon. She's done. She has nothing left to offer. I mean, I thought personally she'd be in charge of the EU, but instead that was Ursula von der Leyen, who was meant to actually take over from Merkel originally. But Ursula von der Leyen was involved in a little controversy in her country, so she ended up doing stuff for the EU and working her way up there.
Okay. So apparently you do controversies in your country, you just work for the UN, and that's fine?
It's pretty much the same thing, yeah. I know that last time we wanted to do something in European politics. Tony Blair wanted to be in charge of the EU, but he was unsuccessful because no one likes the English, and it'd be like having an English Pope. It's not going to happen. Or the English winning Eurovision. It's not going to happen. Oh, just no one likes the English because we controlled so much of it. And I think the same would apply to you guys having. Well, actually, it's much likely. It's as like Trump being liked by the mainstream media or most politicians around the world is as likely as your country is having an American Pope, which is quite thin at the moment, but you never know. I love how much they hate Trump for being racist while championing Joe. If you don't vote for me, then you hate Black Biden. That one annoyed me, as well as the cultural comments, which we've discussed many times actually, because it's just so fucking stupid. How can you say that?
I'm still surprised that the African American community in this country not only heard that, but they heard it and they didn't care.
I actually equally like that, but also the one where people, a number of African Americans championed Senator Harris, Harris as being African American.
Yeah, Harris.
And I'm sat here like, what? Hang on, is she? I thought she was Indian. With a bit of...
Yes, apparently she is Indian and black and native and, everything under the sun.
You know what I think she is? I think she's the first possible female vice president. That's it. I really don't give a shit about your identity because apparently no one knows it. It's like Elizabeth Warren's. Although the only thing I can tell for absolutely certain.
We found out that one pretty damn well.
No. Let me finish.
We found out.
You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. The only thing we know for certain is she's definitely Native American. She's definitely Native American. Nah. You know what I mean. It's just that it's just bollocks. By the way, the end of that sentence I was going to finish before you said that the only thing we know for certain is she's 100% full of shit. You just interrupted me. It's fine. It's fine.
Killed your joke. I'm sorry.
No. It's all good. I don't care.
Schrodinger's minority. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That actually, Schrodinger was for those who don't know in science, Schrodinger was one of the most selfish scientists you can think of. There are so many equations, formulas, and theories with his name in it, and it pisses me off. He also had a glorious beard, which also pisses me off. And I just don't like the guy. He can go Schrodinger kill himself.
Or will he be dead?
That's the point. Yes,
wow.
Maybe. Who knows? Warren is officially the whitest person in the USA. That is true.
Yeah,
that's
actually,
true.
Though.
Thank you for the $2 donation. So, as far as Brexit goes, we don't know. So that is the shorter answer that I've taken an incredibly long ramble to get to. I do apologise for all the rambles. Fuck it. Let's have a go.
I mean, at this point, like, the problem with American politics is that everything keeps changing. So I can't necessarily... Like, I wanted to make a video on, like, the state of the lawsuits and all that stuff in all the different states. I think it's, like, 7 different states that he has lawsuits going on in.
Yeah.
And I could not tell you, for the life of me, which information was most up-to-date in a reporting sense without actually going into the lawsuit itself, thus making it a fucking hour-long goddamn video.
I have a question.
Okay.
Before the election, Nancy Pelosi indicated there were going to be changes to the 25th to screen presidents, correct?
I think so.
Some kind of ensuring they are medically fit and all this, blah, blah. So I only know about the 25th because of West Wing, where at the end of Season 1, at the beginning of Season 2, President Bartlett, who should always run America, was accidentally shot because some white supremacists wanted to kill the black boyfriend of President Bartlett's daughter, because he was the assistant to the president. President was accidentally shot and he was put under under sedation. Now, because of this, I knew about the 25th because the president had to sign a memo signing power over to someone else, but nobody got the memo, so no one who was in charge. Also, the fact that the Department of Security or whatever, Internal Affairs, also because of certain provisions, also have some kind of priority with certain controls, which was really interesting to learn about. But now that Biden has been projected to win, will Pelosi still push for it, or will she just bury it because her winner is because the guy's now blue? It doesn't matter.
I don't know what's going on with Pelosi at all, if I'm going to be completely honest with you.
Because I think she'll bury it.
Pelosi has been confusing the fuck out of me with the different posts.
On Twitter?
Yes.
I did notice some rather strange tweets, actually.
Not only are they not even like hypocritical, but they're outright contradictory. But I legitimately don't know how to address the way that things are going for the future of our house. Simply because of that.
Feels like a huge overreach.
Well, it's definitely something like that, yeah.
But I am interested to see how it plays out at the same time, because I'm kind of... I don't know, if she doesn't pull the trigger on what she's already said she wanted to do, because it looked like another reason to try and get rid of Trump, then it will come across as... It will come across straight up as, I only did this because Trump. And that, I'll be honest, to any voter that pays attention... That's going to be a bit of a kick. Pelosi and Harris will use it so Pelosi can be vice president. I don't think speakers can become vice presidents, can they? I think once they leave office, that's it, isn't it?
They can. They can become vice president because the chain of how a office, the office of the president goes is that basically everyone shifts up a slot if the president is deemed unfit.
Oh no!
So
that'd be
interesting.
Interesting.
The president is impeached and removed, then the vice president becomes the president.
Okay.
And the speaker becomes
I was right
the
then.
president.
Okay, that is possible then. I guess possible to use it on Biden like that. That would, by the way, I would say, So if that happened, if it was pushed through the way, that for the sake of optics, this, on the face of it, would be a really bad move. If Pelosi did that to Biden, with all that's behind him, just so that somebody around his age can become vice president and Harris become president, they're not getting a second term because they've shown they're willing to stab themselves in the back unless he's already agreed to it. But if he's agreed to it, then he will be remembered as a president that quit. That would be a very bad legacy to have. Yes, he won't live long enough to live with it.
Bad if he was removed.
Yeah, I'll be honest, it's still a bad legacy as well, though. He'd have to prove he can stay. If he gets yeeted that way as well, his party will still be stabbing him in the back to get 2 women in office. That's how it will look. And you can champion it all you like, but you're not going to get a second term. You just did it to get rid of Trump, but he can happily come back if he loses and just beat you in 4 years' time. Which, I'll be honest, if he does, it'd be hilarious. Because then you know you can't beat him. Because he'll go in 4 years anyway.
The other thing that people are talking about, since it's, if Biden were to come out on top of all this, as progressively ever unlikely as that is, becomes every fucking day, Trump is still considering running in 2024. I made the claim that it wouldn't likely be Donald Trump, but it's perhaps that Donald Trump Jr. would run.
That'd be funny.
I don't know the likelihood of any of these things. These were merely speculations because I had heard people, consider these ideas while everything was going on. It's not even that I heard them recently. It's that they've been common thoughts that have gone through people's heads.
Okay.
So I mean, these are possibilities too. I don't know if it's better is the thing.
How long do you think it'll be before we get any resolutions here?
You're not going to get a resolution until all these hand recounts are done, all these lawsuits are settled, because these states cannot certify the election.
Which means when the Electoral College cast their votes, they can't cast their votes.
Possibly, yes.
That could really ruin everything.
It does, and what's even more interesting at that point is that then it goes to a state legislation. So then you have to go into the state legislatures of all of these different states and figure who they're going to vote for the electorates or the electors to vote in.
Right.
I want to remind everybody who doesn't already know, overwhelmingly, Republicans won states. Like the state, the actual state elections, they won. Republicans won a fuck ton. They've turned almost every fucking state, like house. They added seats for Republicans. So they beat out some Democrats. Take that as you will.
I'm expecting someone to now say, yeah, but, Biden won more. Even though... I did see some... Actually, I will ignore that for a second. I saw a lot of comments saying, yeah, but in the states where there were mostly red districts, they're mostly dust and dirt.
Yeah, but those dust and dirt states are the ones that feed you. That's I always hate when people say like, oh yeah, well these states aren't, there's not even a whole lot of people there. Yeah, do you want to know why? Because those areas are farmlands. Those farmlands are either local food or national with federal subsidies.
Right.
And these are important to your infrastructure. Some people have even said, like, I remember there were like some blue checkies who were like, we should just secede California. And I was like, yeah, that'll go great. I can't imagine how much food California is going to grow.
They import water. They're fucked if they do that.
They do import water.
They have to sign a trade deal for water.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Because all right, yeah, you might have good ample land for farming, but if your irrigation system can't do it, well, I guess you're fucked.
But also, they also require they've relied on other states to help them deal with the fires because of their own interesting agriculture. I found it to be quite okay. Actually, I have a question. My question concerns the inauguration then. Because inaugurations usually happen in January, don't they?
Yes.
What are the what? This is a bit of I know this is a bit of a reach. What are is the likelihood this will be resolved before then, and is it possible this could get pushed back?
No, I don't believe it is. I believe that information or that inauguration is set in the Constitution.
So what happens if it's not resolved by then?
It will have to be resolved. That's what the electors do. The electors can't go to they can't basically create a deadlock, because the deadlock is broken by the vice president.
Isn't the vice president Mike Pence?
Yes.
So if this isn't resolved,
Trump wins. If it's not resolved, Trump wins. If it's resolved in Trump's favor, Trump wins.
I will say,
if it's not resolved in Trump's favor, Trump loses.
If it's not resolved,
the only way.
So I will say, if it's not resolved by then, it would be and even I have to concede. Okay, Native, 1 second. The electorals have to vote by December 14th, so by law it will be resolved by 20th of January. Good to know. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. If that happened, hypothetically, and Trump won, I would consider him an illegitimate president because of that. But
that's fair. But these are the legal avenues that are.
But I'm
presented
not saying to slight him. I'm just saying that's how it's like a default. It doesn't look good on him. But I will say, if that happens, he's still a 2-term president. Fuck you to anyone else, really.
The problem is that I don't think there are people anywhere that will believe this election is legitimate one way or the other.
Yeah.
Regardless, you are going to have half of the country think that the other party stole it.
You are forgetting that since 99.9% of the media want Biden to win anyway, they'll push it as if it was legit in the first place and shut down and not report on anything dissenting towards it, because he is the healer of the nation and he is the hope of a brighter future, because he will unite your country as America, even though he has no interest in working with people he disagrees with. We've seen that with the UK. Yes, Brandon, I do remember the comment, by the way. Thank you for reminding me.
No one will accept this outcome unless we get confirmation that fraud occurred. Yeah, I think even if fraud occurred, I think people are still going to find that what they're going to consider what this is illegitimate because either he didn't win the popular vote, he didn't win the votes in general, even if those votes were lies in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. And earlier I saw Ivanka Gabbard or Tulsi for 2024. That'd be a pretty alright ticket. Yeah, it's alright looking. But I do play. Someone wrote it as a joke. But as far as I thought, Tulsi Gabbard was done in politics, to be honest, because there's no way she's going to get elected anywhere beyond what she currently does.
True. I don't think she even ran for Senate this time around. I think she had.
I could check.
I think she only had run for president. I think that was it.
Yeah, no, she's not. She's not. She's done 4 terms in the House of Representatives.
I'm sorry, House, not Senate. My bad.
I thought she was a senator, to be honest. But she withdrew from the House re-election during the campaign for the presidency. To be honest, she was decent. She had a decent go.
Honestly, Trump has a good track record of making good foreign policy advisors. Even Nikki Haley was damn good at her job.
R.W. Bimby, hi. Haven't seen you in a while. How's Brexit going, Chaos? Yeah.
No.
Constitution has multiple legit ways to choose a president. Electoral college and state rep vote and VP tiebreaker are all equally legit. Thank you.
Right. It's just people won't see it that way, and we know that, and whether or not it's their prerogative to recognize that.
I should say
doesn't really matter.
I'm not saying it's not legit. By the way, I'm just saying from my perspective that doesn't look legit. I'm not trying to slight you guys. I promise. You know I'm not. It's just I'm an outsider. That's how I see it. It doesn't look. Well, optics here play an important role. Yeah, I think. Oh yeah, can we have 50 likes, please? Smash it. I'd like that, please. I want all 50. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I need likes. Yeah. Is there anything else with this you'd like to talk about this evening? By the way.
No, it's just keep an eye on the news because I can't keep up with it enough to make a video because it changes every day.
Did you? If anyone watched my This Week at Twitter today, I actually addressed the fact that I wasn't on Twitter much this week because so much of it was this. I don't want to make my main channel politics, and so I had 3 subjects, and I ended up talking about the election. The election once with Biden with the about firework night being confused to us celebrating Biden winning, which is nonsense. It was Guy Fawkes night. Get fucked. And the other was China dissing the US over 9 key points.
Was it November 5th that he was announced the winner?
I think so in our country.
No, it was the 7th.
Well, we do the we have fireworks go off from roughly the 3rd until the 8th usually, but the 5th of November is very important because of Guy Fawkes bonfire night.
Right.
And also with China doing a 9-point thing with the UN about how the US need to sort their shit out, which I thought was hilarious because they talked about religious freedoms and protecting people's rights to talk about to practice their faith. And yeah, I'm like, has anyone heard about those Muslims in China? Anyone?
Yeah, something Uyghurs.
Yeah, I only had like three subjects for it this week instead of the usual 7, because there was so much politics. I couldn't find anything dumb that wasn't politics and that's the other issue I have with it. It's so open and up in the air. I'm sorry, but I'm not willing to put a video out there as if it's right, because there's no proof yet that anyone is right until it's resolved on the respective dates when it will be finally resolved. I'm not going to try and inject myself until, we do these streams. I'm not doing it otherwise. Because fuck that. Mm-hmm. I don't want that shit in my life, thank you.
Right.
Okay, well, as we're done here, is there anything you would like to shill?
Nope, I have nothing to shill. I'm going to be traveling next week.
Wish him luck, everyone.
Yeah. Yes, California. Here I come.
I have nothing to shill either. I'm going to be working on some videos, go bike riding, hopefully, if the brother-in-law is about, but there's some issues that might prevent that. I've got Content Constable to finish as well, so I'm just going to do some cleaning. Nothing to shill or promote. I might do an ETS Euro Truck stream tomorrow on a Megon Plays. Can't guarantee it yet. So anyway, Trupp's channel link is in the description down below. Please consider subscribing as we try and get him closer to 1,000 subs, which would be awesome, quite frankly. And Okie Native, Guy Fawkes did nothing wrong. He is a patriot. I agree with you. Let's not forget, though, he was a Catholic zealot who wanted to overthrow Protestant rule. Okay. Thanks for joining, everyone. I will see you here next week, possibly, because I'll do a solo for maybe half an hour. Trupps will be back in 2 weeks, so we'll see you fully then. Say goodnight, Trupps.
Good night, Trupps.
Good night, Trupps. And we're out.